Hey there, YouTube. It's PD Two Finger back with a update on my love affair with this Steinberger Spirit guitar. So I had done a review on this. I've had it for a few years, and I'm doing a follow-up. Today I took the strings and removed them. You loosen these tensioners, and then I went ahead and removed each tensioner and dripped it in a little bottle of oil and reinstalled it. So they got lubed. Now there's a spinner here that's for the spring tension, the master tension for the spring. I removed that and lubed that. There's a little Allen wrench fastener that adjusts for the whammy. I oiled the whammy, I oiled that set screw. I pulled the whole tremolo out. What you do is you remove all the strings and you remove all the tension from this spring. Loosen that up, and then the whole tremolo, the whole bridge will pop out. You kind of gotta pop it up at an angle. I'll tell you, and then oil it. I put some 5W30 or whatever motor oil I had that put it into a 3-in-1 bottle that ran dry. So I drilled a hole in that to refill it, and then I have a bolt or a nut that screws into it. So yeah, I use some graphite and chapstick. I'll take the hobby knife and I'll put a little bit of chapstick, like cut it off, and then spray powdered graphite in there and fold that in and make a little paste. And then apply that in the bridge saddle slot of each string. So every time I'm doing this lube process, like when I pull the string adjuster, it's a long, thin. I try to be really careful with the stuff, and I try to not really overdo it, but I do use a decent amount. I get it all on the thread, where in the area that it's going to be in use, not all the way back, but all in the area of thread, and then I will tap. I actually have a little bottle of projector oil, and you probably might not have something like this, a little sample perfume bottle, but I find dipping nuts, screws, fasteners that need oil, just dipping it in that, a lot of times that gives me just the right application. That doesn't sound good, did it? So lubing the Steinberger gives it a smoother functionality, smoother tuning. I recommend not using Steinberger brand strings. The Alice brand strings that are the cheapos on eBay are too short. Like literally they do not fit. I tried buying the bridge or the nut that the $7, $5 nuts that will allow you to use a single ball end string, and none of those would fit at all. They were all way off. No way I could do it. Even if I filled the holes that Steinberger drilled and then re-drilled new holes, it still would have been off by 4 millimeters. I measured with a digital micrometer. So recently, or not so recently, there was this guy, I think he bought 2 Steinberger Spirits. He was like, I had to do so much work to get it to, like it won't stay in tune. I'll just say this. I have some Stratocaster guitars. I know about guitars that don't stay in tune. I've had Gibsons. I have a lot of a collection of guitars, and I like to stay in A440. So I understand tuning issues. And the like I have a Strat that I put graphite on all points of contact and then worked on the setup to get it optimal, and I did. I got that guitar to stay a lot better than what it was stock. But as far as staying in tune, no. It's a Strat, you know. And I use the tremolo arm too, so that's a big part of the problem. Now, I have a Fernandez guitar. I have an Ibanez guitar. The Ibanez has a locking tremolo with a, I don't know, is it a Floyd Rose licensed? The Fernandez is a licensed Floyd and Rose. Both of those guitars have about the same performance. I think the Fernandez beats it. But let's say it's winter and it's kind of chilly and I get the guitar out and then we play and we got lights on and it just gets hot from bodies, and then like the cooling system will come on, or if I'm playing at home and it'll get hot in here, we'll crack both of the patio. Well, whenever there's a sudden temperature influx, like even with the air conditioner kicking on, the strings are metal and they react. Okay, so on a system where they're like this, it isn't really locking, but it kind of is because of the design. I mean, it's kind of like a double locking setup here. That's what you're going to run into. It's not the system. You can't blame the guitar. So that guy that complained about saying how much work he had to do, well, yeah, I replaced my pickups. I got a reputable guy. Oh man, I wish I could remember his name. I paid $25 for a pair of Seymour Duncan Super Distortion. I would recommend you don't change out the single coil. I did, and I matched the impedance, and it's still a volume drop enough to where it cleans up. So if that's something that sounds good to you, but yeah, basically, you loosen up all the strings. Well, the stock Steinberger strings suck. I like the Diodarios if you can get a 3-pack or try to get a deal on them. If anyone can recommend me some, I've tried a few different brands and I wasn't happy with anything. The Steinberger ones are terrible strings. They're garbage. And then there was another off-brand that I didn't like. I really like the Diodarios. They're expensive. But, yeah, replace the pickups. Don't mess with that thing on the end. If you're really going to do that, it's $75. And you got to get it made in America. There's a Steinberger parts place in America with a nut that actually fits. That'll work. I don't really play with this because it's in an awkward position for me. I can do it in between songs. I find it's too far back. So yeah, all the regular normal tips, like putting the graphite that's folded into lip balm on all of the saddle routes, and keeping the tremolo system well oiled. One thing I heard about people pulling up on them and getting a response. Well, the response you're getting is the guitar giving and the aluminum or pot metal bending, and eventually you'll rip it right out of there. So these tremolo systems do not pull up. Okay, so if you're pulling up and you're hearing the string pull up, that's because you're bending it, and you're only going to get to do that a couple of times. On the 24th pull up, it's going to snap. So this is a $350 guitar. Okay. I bought it because I have 2 herniated discs, and we like to play outdoors. So a small guitar. This is the other guitar that I had fallen in love with. This one that has really bad intonation. It needs a setup. It needs probably a new bridge saddle, something. I've never been able to get this thing anywhere near properly in tune. Maybe it's just the frets are bad. I don't know, but I really love that guitar. This was the one that I bought for myself when I ran into. I got a synthesizer for a couple of bucks at a Goodwill, and I cleaned it up and sold it for a few $100s, and then took that money and bought this. So the guy who complained, who was saying he had to do all of this work and it didn't stay in tune, I'm here to tell you, if you're on the fence about getting one of these, they're wonderful guitars. You don't have to change the stock pickups. You might like them. Some people love them. I changed them because I got it in my head that they were terrible. And when I put the super distortions in there, it did make an improvement as far as what I like. But really, everything else on the guitar is up to snuff for me. I love it. I really love this guitar. So, that being said, to the guy who gave the nasty review, if you watch that, just kind of pay attention to his attitude. A lot of times you can just kind of tell when people are, when they're out of their fucking minds and they're full of shit. You can just kind of tell. So, never listen to anybody on the internet. If they're talking about guitar gear, I recently, like 6 months ago, I signed up for, when did Feder start doing those things?
I think March.
March, pre-COVID lockdown. I signed up for a bunch of guitar pedal forums on Facebook. And so that's all I'm seeing. And if you want to really get deeply depressed about stupidity of human beings, if you are a recovering addict or alcoholic, I wouldn't recommend it, because you will really have an urge to drown your sorrows. All right, the Steinberger is awesome. Lube it, oil that trem. Like I said, there's 2 big posts that come up. I put bloop bloop 5W30 on there, and then covered that 5W30 in graphite. I did that twice. I put it on the inside on the contact points. I lubed that master spring tensioner. I lubed all of the individual saddle adjusters, and it's feeling fantastic. Now all it needs is a new set of 9s, Diodario double ball ends. That's what I recommend putting on that guitar. If you're playing it with the stock strings, they're not good. And the only guitar that I own that beats this as far as tuning stability is that one Fernandez. Well, I've got an Ibanez that's got a double locking setup that it's about equal with, to be honest. And I gotta tell you, the reason that the strings are detuning is not the guitar. It's because it's sitting and the strings are stretching, or it's because of temperature adjustments. It's because when I got it out of the case, it was one temperature, and then I'm blasting an air conditioner, and it's going to affect that, Or I got out of the case and it's unbelievably hot, and then I open both patio doors and it gets cold, and then that's when I'm going to need to retune. So I'm not going to go shaking my fist at Steinberger. That's my fault at that point, They're wonderful guitars. They could be a little bit lighter, but I mean, it's a $349 guitar. It stays in tune. It's just under 7 pounds. It's got an excellent tremolo system on it. I mean, yeah, it sucks that the pickups aren't the best, that they're Duncan designs, and a lot of people hate those pickups. That's the one thing that sucks about that guitar. Other than that, stay away from those Alice strings. They're too short. Stay away from those, the nut that doesn't work. The Chinese ones that you see on eBay advertised as to be a fix, so you can use single ball end strings. Those do not fit on these guitars. You have to go and get the American one, the American-made one. And if you can prove me wrong on any of this stuff, I would love to find out where I could get one. I would love to get one. That's not. So I don't have. So I could just get regular Diodario 9s. And I really think that's the ideal gauge for that guitar is 9s. 9s are lighter, There's something about the stiffness of the tremolo system as it is, and because the wood, the quality of the metal isn't as great, putting a real lot of tension just isn't going to help things. Again, the tremolo is not designed to pull up. If you're pulling up, well, I pull up and I hear it a little bit. It's not a full half step, but it's about an eighth of a half step. Sounds cool to me. Well, look into it, because I read that people were doing that and they ruined it. It literally rips the binding posts for the tremolo assembly out from the wood. Not good. And it's not designed to do that. So those are my tips and tricks for the Steinberger Spirit guitar. I'm not saying it's the best guitar. I've got a lot of other guitars here that blow it away. But they're a lot more expensive guitars and they weigh a lot more, you know. When it comes down to it, like, if you're a Strat guy, oh, you'd love one of these. If you're a Gibson guy, no, you're not going to like it. But if you like playing guitars with a tremolo system, this is a great tremolo guitar because it stays in tune. And the tremolo it's a good tremolo. It's just not, you're not going to be able to do the acrobatics on it. It's not a dive bombing. There's a lot of tension on that spring. And they've kind of set it up that way because it's not as strong as the original one. The original one was made out of space-age polymer. And I'm sure that tremolo probably could take more abuse. I don't know. I'm talking out my butt now. Anyway, you guys, I got to run. I got to make some music with my lovely wife here tonight, so wish me luck. I've been kind of just feeling a little bit down, so send me your good vibes. I could use them. We'll see you around, and peace.